Stranded in space on a ship crashing into the atmosphere of an unknown planet, Emile Spencer knew that the only way to survive would be by his own wits and guile. He vowed that somehow he would find and slay the titanic cosmic beast that put him in this predicament, VY572. With every installment, we follow Emile's explorations and discoveries on this journey of revenge against all odds. I'm Midnight Jester, and this is the Left Behind Starforge series.
Alright, last time was another one of our patented GM episodes, where instead of developing a new sector, we were figuring out points of interest in the settlement of Concord. This is where Emile is going to be spending a lot of time because, as we know, he departed the Beowulf, and the Beowulf has, after a little bit of a crew exchange, gone off to do their own thing. Emile is sticking around here on Cinder with the community on Concord with the professed idea that they are going to dredge the Reacher up. Last we saw it, it was crashed and sunken into a big lake of magma. But Emile thinks that they can pump that lava out of there and get the Reacher out for salvage and use it for all kinds of stuff, including but not limited to perhaps a starship to actually get back off of here. But that is going to be a very, very long-term project. We swore an extreme vow about this. Now, I'm not going to go over every last detail of what we determined last time, but we made 5 different kind of key areas of Concord and NPCs related to them. A place called the Junk Pile, the Locks Factory, the Room of the Lost, the Fixery, and the Trenches. And in order to get things started, I think the first kind of priority after, we've brought in time a little bit here. Even before we did the GM episode, we talked about how Emile had been sojourning here for a bit. He's got a place to stay. He's got a room here. Like, he's gotten vaguely settled in. I don't need to explore every aspect of that. I will note that until I say otherwise, I think we can assume that Fern is still traveling inside of Emile, at least most of the time. We may find a reason to change that, but for now, it's like he has kind of a symbiote. I don't explicitly have that asset from the game, and I'm not going to be getting the benefit from it, but he's carrying Fern around with as kind of like in his back pocket, except, his inner pocket, I suppose. So the first thing that I want to actually zoom in on, if Emile's going to get done this kind of engineering project, there are a few key steps that are definitely going to need to happen. He's been asking around a little bit, and he knows that this initial base was carved out via He knows the initial base was carved out with a big drilling vehicle. That, among other things, allowed them to carve this out and get it set up pretty well. But he's also heard that it's not operational anymore. And he knows that eventually, it would probably save everybody a lot of time if it's still around to put it back together rather than try and build one from scratch. But importantly, he's going to need a place to work, not only for that, but probably for other things along the way. And so I think Emile's first priority is going to be getting set up with some kind of a workshop, because his went away on the Beowulf. He had decked that all out, and they left with it. But he's also heard tell that there is a place here that could well be able to suit him. I think he's been talking with Cypher, and via that, over the course of the Sojourn move that we already did, where he was heartening and getting to know people, he's gotten to know some of the key names and faces, and maybe been shown around the place a little bit. Probably not by Valkyrie, who is still, not exactly his biggest fan, but willing to call off the hit on him anyway. He's been shown around. He's familiar over the course of the tour with the idea that there is the Fixery. There is this workshop. And I want to start this time with Emile trying to gain access to it, because one of the things that we determined about it was that the person in charge of this workshop goes by the name of Firestarter. And let's see. Should Emile know in advance? I think if he has been given a tour of this place, somebody has probably keyed him into the idea that Firestarter is no fan of him. We rolled an initial disposition for Firestarter as hostile. He's absolutely not willing to let Emile into the workshop. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He has a lot of beef with Emile. And so I think Emile is going to start, the first step in this process is he needs to learn a little bit more about Firestarter. from people who know him. He needs to start asking around, finding out, like, if he can't approach Firestarter directly because he's just too hostile, what might Emile be able to do to calm his mood a little bit? Start trying to win him over. How might he sway him? Because he definitely doesn't want to just, like, make a big imposing move and just be like, no, I'm commandeering this workshop or something like that. Like, that's never going to work. And he's worked so hard to get people back on his side. He wants to keep the peace. So let's start gathering some information in like broad strokes as Emile is just kind of asking around the community, trying to figure out like who is good friends with Firestarter, who knows him well, who has worked with him in the past. And there are a few questions on Emile's mind. Perhaps one of them is just like trying to find out what is his beef, like why won't he let me in there? Emile knows that he's not allowed, but why won't he let me in? And then perhaps more importantly, what can I do to change his mind? How can I secure an advantage when it comes to trying to compel him otherwise? Kind of. So let's do that gather information roll. We are just going to roll wits here. I don't have anything in particular that's going to influence it, though I am still riding high on momentum right now. We've got a +9, so let's see how this goes. Okay. We have a weak hit that I could turn into a strong hit if I wanted to, but honestly, I don't know that we really need to. That's probably pretty good to start us off to give us a little bit of a wrinkle on this. The information provides new insight, but also complicates your quest. Envision what you discover, then take +1 momentum. So we'll be maxed out on momentum, because I'm not going to burn the momentum here. And let's see, what's the complication here? We know, if I pull up my notes, we know Firestarter has a goal, which is that they're looking to find a person, like they've got a family member who lives off-world that they had to run away from. It clearly can't be related to that. Like, that's nothing Emile could possibly do, but maybe he wants something else. So first, I want to determine, like, who is this that knows Firestarter decently? I don't want it to generate yet another NPC. Let's go off of one of the people that we already have. Maybe even somebody from the Beowulf that just happens to know them from before. And in order to keep things relatively simple, I'm just going to say that this is indeed Cypher. So, Emile is talking to her in... Let's see, where would they be doing this? Perhaps in... They're just having a meal in that kind of cafeteria area where there is the chaos-sourced food. They're sharing a lunch together or something and talking over, what's Emile's plan going to be? And, like, when are you going to get started? Because now he's been here for a little bit. And so she's just a little bit curious and is like, so when exactly do you get started on the big, well, And Emile is saying... right now it's still very much just in the planning phase. I tell you, though, I feel like one of the key components that I'm going to be needing is missing right now, which is just a place to work. If we're doing a massive trench digging kind of operation, then we're going to need some kind of tunneler to do that, and we're going to have to either build one or fix the one that y'all have already got. It's a good workshop is something that I could really use for a lot of stuff before we can even begin to plan out the actual scale of who I need doing what, because we need to know the capabilities of what we have at our disposal. And so I just need a place to work right now. And Cypher just says to him, like, well, I wouldn't bet strongly on you using the workshop here. I mean, not as long as Firestarter is around. Emile goes, yeah, so I've heard. Do you know the guy? What can you tell me about it? It would really help out a lot if I could just get hands on in there and get started. What is his deal? I mean, why won't he let me around? I mean, he won't let you in there because she like leans forward a little bit, like you blew up like half the hangar. I don't feel like there's any question about this. There's a lot of people here who haven't exactly fully forgiven you, and I mean, he's been spouting off pretty heavily about that. Because apparently, like, ever since Emile has been staying here, Firestarter has been, like, running his mouth about that all over the place, like, making it very clear to anybody, especially when Emile was talking about big engineering projects, that, like, making it very clear it's not happening under, like, he better find his own space. And Cypher continues saying, I mean, look, I'm not trying to rub this in your face or anything, but like, killed a lot of people doing that, including some of his friends, but, I mean, it was a massive amount of work. Like, this is a big deal. I know you've apologized. I know it's not officially hanging over you anymore in the same way, but like, not everybody's ready to just forget that. Yeah, I know. I totally get that. That makes sense. The problem is, like, I can't do the thing that I've promised everybody to do, that everybody seems to want me to do, if I don't have the tools available to do it. The literal tools. I'm being set up for failure with this sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the idea of you failing is exactly a downside to Firestarter. He'd want to see that. Well then, look, you sound like you know the guy, at least a little bit. What can I do? What's my angle here? How can I get on his good side? Bearing in mind that I have absolutely no ability to go back in time. And if I did, there are some other things I'd be taking care of as well. Pretty sure I'd be going back even further to before I crashed on this planet. So taking that off the table, what do I do? And then, of course, we have our weak hit here. So Cypher is able to provide some insight, but we need a bit of a complication. So I'm looking for some inspiration here. I want to know more. I want to know more about what Firestarter might want. So I'm going to roll another goal for him to see if maybe we can determine one that's a little bit more immediate. Another goal for Firestarter is claim a resource. Okay. I feel like we see that sort of thing a lot. Firestarter wants something. Perhaps it might be related to the workshop, the fixery. Might not. It could certainly be something that's lost in the junk pile. You know, I could imagine somebody who's running a workshop goes in and out of there all the time, and maybe they were one of the ones who lost something in that pile and it got all covered up, and it's just this huge thing. Let's go with that. So Cypher is like, well, about the only thing I've heard him complain about more than you, especially when he gets a few drinks in him, is about this something that he lost in the junk pile. And she's like running through her memory to try and figure out what it is, and I will roll a descriptor in focus. Preserved enclosure. That makes me think of some kind of a cage or like a terrarium or something. Some kind of a habitat for a living thing. Though we know that there's nothing else living on this planet. Like it's fully extinct, but could have been something that he took along. I don't feel like you'd have that much attachments to just like an empty cage, but maybe we can play with that idea a little bit. It could be an enclosure for a different material, like, oh, okay, we can tie this all together a little bit, and there's a couple of ways why this complicates my quest. So if we go way back when Emile was sneaking around, we know that Emile tampered with the enclosure for the chaos crystal that makes the food here, right? Emile kind of made his own and tried to make a sort of controlled chaos device. And as a result, there are repairs that would have had to have been made to the thing that makes the food here. It's been done, but maybe it's on the fritz or something, and Firestarter was never able to get it to work quite as well as before. Maybe he wasn't the person who made the first one, but he's responsible for it now. This is kind of changing it up a little bit, I suppose. It's less about him having lost it inside the junk pile, and more that, as Cypher tells Emile, the only thing I've heard him complain about half as much as you being here is that he can't seem to get the enclosure on the... And she gestures over to the buffet that has these the flickery, the sort of buffet table area that's got this generated food. And every once in a while, if you look at it, it kind of there's a subtle flicker to it and stuff. Apparently he's never been able to get the chaos crystal in there working quite right. Something about the enclosure not being the same, not having the right material. I don't know. It's not exactly my area of expertise, but I'm guessing if you could get that working again, well, actually, no, don't get it working. He'd take that as a challenge. But if you can get him access to the material so that he can get it working, well, that might get you a little bit closer to his good graces. And Emile thinks on this and realizes that, of course, he's the reason why it's not functioning all that well to begin with. He's the one who initially tampered with it so he could get his own handheld device. And the last that he remembers, it is outside. I believe it got buried in some of the ash. Everything went wrong, and the container that he made broke for it. Now there's just a chaos crystal out there that was I forget exactly how that went down. We're on episode 41. That was back on like, I want to say like episode 9 or something. It's been a little while. I forget some of the details, but it's buried out there in the ash that it like hardened around it, something like that. But Emile does have some experience trying to make a housing for it. Now, it failed, but he might be able to help out with that sort of thing. And failing anything else, he knows that the materials that he took initially, like the stuff that he poached from the kind of underneath the buffet table, like cafeteria line, like steam tray sort of area. It's like this long island there's like power generation stuff underneath and chaos crystals and things being generated. And then it like projects it upward and solidifies it into food that just like generates on top of a bit of a bar. And Emile knows that he took the materials and it's out there. He knows roughly where it is. If he goes back through his old like information that he's got from his AR, like his computer's information about what he's been looking at, he could find out very specifically where he was when that all went wrong and could maybe find the materials. But of course, there's a chaos crystal down there and it's very dangerous. But Emile kind of like slumps his shoulders and looks back up at Cypher and goes, "Oh man, I do think I know how I might be able to do that, but oh, are you sure there's not another way?" And Cypher goes, "Take it or leave it. I mean, you could maybe hit his head with a pipe hard enough that he forgets who you are." And Emile just goes, "Fuck. All right. I think I do have a way." And I think Emile's going to say, "But it's not exactly all that simple. I might need some outside help on this. I was wondering, you want to go on a bit of an adventure here? You seem to have my back more than most people." And Cypher just says, "Yeah, I mean, whatever's going to help you get this done. I mean, you made some big promises and I want you to see them through. What do you need?" Actually, I suppose, let's make sure. I'm going to do a quick compel move. I expect it's going to be fine. But, like, it is a very dangerous thing. When Emile divulges the details, when he tells her a little bit more about the chaos crystal and everything down there, I think she needs to be convinced to actually go through with it. He's like, "Well," and he tells her all the stuff. Blah, 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 blah. This is what I would need. And let's see. How into it is she? So he's just trying to like barter, encourage. It's all heart type of stuff. He's not lying about any of it. So we make a heart move and we get... Okay, this is another weak hit that we could make into a strong hit. Though once again, I don't know that I'd rather have that momentum for when we're dealing with chaos crystals. So I'm going to take this weak hit as they'll do what you want or agree to your conditions, but the agreement comes with a demand or a complication. Envision their counteroffer and take +1 momentum. Well, we can't take the momentum, but we can envision the counteroffer. I think the most important part is that Cypher will help him dig. She will help try and like pull him out of dangerous situations or something like that. Like if he's falling down a hole, like she'll bring a rope or something to help pull him out of the ash because he knows that was a problem before. She is not going to touch that chaos crystal. Like all of that is up to Emile. She doesn't want to be anywhere near. She doesn't even want to be able to see it. Emile needs to get the enclosure. Like all that needs to be done with his own hands. She's just there to bail him out in case things go especially south. So that's the counteroffer, and Emile's like, fair enough. Like, I made it out of this kind of situation once before, and with your help, it should go even better. But honestly, the more time goes by, the more likely it is that I can't be able to find it. So if you're done with lunch, and I think they are, and we'll cut ahead to them heading outside. So as we know, there's kind of like a staging area, airlock on the side that, now Emile doesn't need to sneak his way to it. Just can open up that door. They've suited up with everything available with like rebreathers and things to avoid the worst of the toxic air. They're both very covered up in lots of like skin protection with just these cloth wraps around their face, and got goggles and stuff. Like very little of their skin is exposed. They've got gloves on. They're both outside, and we're going to find out like how is the weather doing right now? Because we know that there's some pretty violent dust storms and stuff outside. Like, how good of a time is this for them? And I'm just going to make a simple kind of oracle move on that. No, you know what? I'm not going to bother with that because there's no reason why they couldn't just wait until better conditions. There's really not the same kind of pressure. There's not that much in the way of pressure on this, so never mind. They'll wait until a good moment. It doesn't matter if they had to wait out a day or something. But they head outside. It's in the most ideal conditions that it gets, which is still miserably hot, especially with all those layers protecting you from the atmosphere. But they're there. I also think it wouldn't be worth a roll for Emile to, like, need to find the spot. I think it's easy enough for him to go through his computer logs and find the right area to at least start digging. We're just going to skip ahead to just, he's digging there. I think we're going to secure one advantage before we get going, which is Emile is going to be tied, like, we're going to tie Emile like a rope around his waist and everything, just in case things go poorly. If things shift or anything like that, then Cypher is going to help him keep from being just buried in there. So securing an advantage, this would be, I think this would, in fairness, be kind of an agility thing to, like, tie the right rope work to be a nice secure knot that'll hold well. It could maybe be an iron thing, but this isn't about the actual holding on. It's just about tying good knots, which I could make an argument for wits of just the expertise of doing that, but in this case, I'm just gonna kind of split the difference and say this is edge. Okay, strong hit with a match. It's only a double one match, but it is a match. So I take momentum that I can't take. Importantly, I'll get a +1 on the next move. And for the double one match, we'll say that this is using, like, particularly it's not just rope, but it's full on, like, a nice cable. Like, this is very unlikely to snap. For the double one match, we're going to add in there that in addition to Emile being secured, that we have also secured Cypher, and it's all tied to, like, some of the just, like, outside architecture, like some of the handholds on the outside of the base from this side. Like, this is like metal cabling that's been attached around, so even if both of them slip, they can only fall so far because they're attached to, like, the side of Concord's hangar, or not hangar, but the base. So they're all set up on that. Now Emile's just going to start digging, this is definitely just an endurance kind of thing. In this kind of heat and everything, this is an iron roll by far, but we have our +1 from securing advantage because he can really lean into it, not have to worry about maintaining good, like, foot placement, and he doesn't have to worry about slipping or anything. He can just dig and focus on that. So iron with a +1. We get... Okay, this is a miss, and the one of them is one of the challenge dice is a D10, so I can only turn this into a weak hit. So I fail, or momentary success is undermined by a dire turn of events. Now, my first thought on interpreting that would be, yeah, you dig down to it, and, like, indeed, it is, as soon as it's uncovered, all of that kind of chaos radiation that's happening immediately comes out in problematic ways. I think it would be wonderful to turn this into even a weak hit, because then it's just a -1 suffer move. We succeed, but with just a small cost. It sucks to burn all my momentum just for a weak hit, but hey, narratively, we really shouldn't have this much momentum anyway. It kind of feels like we're starting anew, so I'm indeed going to burn it. So we have a weak hit. We need to have one little suffer move, which is, I'm going to say, I'm actually going to lose just even more momentum. We're going to go down to +1, because I think it's down deep. And the ash and stuff has shifted around a little bit. Emile does have to be digging for a long time, getting just really fatigued and tired. And, like, they lose, like, a huge portion of a day. Like, it's a lot to dig out, and he has to keep widening it and looking around. And since Cypher doesn't want to be anywhere near it, Cypher is not helping. It's all Emile, so it takes a long time. But eventually, he hears the blade of the shovel hit something that's not just the ash. It conks against a hard exterior, and Emile thinks this might be the casing that he remembers down here that kind of failed, but it's at least the right sort of material that can be fashioned into what's necessary to keep the crystal at bay. This one is a failure, but it's the right material. Emile looks up at Cypher and kind of gives the nod. Like, they can't hear each other that well at like, Emile is down, like, in a deep hole at this point in order to find this. And even shouting, like, with all the stuff in the way of their mouths, like, you can't really... Oh, and they have the rebreathers in, so all the more. Like, they can't really verbally communicate all that well, but he gives the nod and, like, gestures to it, and she takes a couple of steps back and, like, gets a firm hold on the cable in case she needs to just try and start yanking him out of there. Because they are ready to accidentally uncover this crystal, is the worry. Emile is going to try and come up with a way to maybe make sure that the crystal is not exposed and is still just like buried. He needs to like analyze what he actually struck. Is this the containment vessel? Is it just kind of like hardened whatever material the chaos crystal turned into, like all the stuff around it? Because it, as we know, it changes. It makes materials turn into different things. We need to try and figure out what this is. This is maybe a face danger to try and uncover just enough to just be able to tell what is this. I'm not giving myself the ability to do this as gather information because I don't think it's safe enough to, like, we're not relaxed enough. Like, this is a dangerous situation. At best, maybe if I can come up with the right sort of thing, it can be a secure advantage. Like, how would Emile do this in a way that's safe? Like, how do you find out what it is that's buried beneath the dust without uncovering it? Because I don't think he has any kind of like optics on his AR that are going to be able to just like see through the dust or anything like that. Maybe though, we can strike the shovel against it a little bit and like listen to the exact sound that makes, and his computer could help analyze the waveform to determine, like, based on that and the speed that he hit, like the force that he used to hit it, what material might that be? Like, it's running some checks to try and make some best guesses. Actually, so I suppose, okay, in order to make that work, because then I would just either have the answer or not, right? Like, for this to be an advantage before the face danger, I think what I'm going to do is Emile is going to make that program, right? Like, he is going to make his computer able to analyze that, like write a program to be able to determine this, pull from certain databases that he has to make reasonable guesses. And then the face danger will be just actually hitting the thing with the shovel and trying to get that, because that could go very poorly. So here we go. This is going to be a wits secure an advantage. And you know what? I actually have 2 experience that I have not spent. And the tech asset does have a thing that I've not unlocked from it, which is when you face danger or secure an advantage by creating a computer program to perform a specific complex function, add +2 and take +1 momentum on a hit. One time only. When you trigger the program to fulfill its purpose, re-roll any dice. And you know, I feel like this is the type of thing that could come up enough with the way I like to play Emile that why don't we spend the XP on this? Probably should have done it before the situation came up, but it's fine. When I was looking through options, that was one of the ones I was considering anyway. I just never officially pulled the trigger. So we're doing that thing. We're trying to make a complex computer program. It is indeed, like, this is right on the tin. We're performing a very specific complex function. So this is going to be secure an advantage wits with a +2, and we take +1 momentum on a hit. And then we'll be able to reroll any dice when we face danger using this program. So here we go. All right, another strong hit with a match. So we take 2 momentum for succeeding. We also take 1 momentum because of the part of the tech asset. So we're back up to 4 momentum. Because it was a strong hit on secure an advantage, we will get a +1 on the face danger that we're about to do. And this was only a double 2 match, but still, we're moving up the ranks. We had a double 1 match, we're now doing a double 2 match. Let's see. What is something that Emile maybe... It should be related. Like, how has this gone even better for him? Something, maybe a minor additional function that this could do? Let's see. What's like a related thing? What's a related thing that a program like this might be able to help him out with? Well, it's waveform analysis, right? So maybe there's another type of... Maybe it could be easily repurposed to do other kind of sound identification. For like... We'll just say like it could identify voices well. He doesn't have like a database of voice samples from people, but he could repurpose this program if he's ever heard somebody and like... If he's ever talked to somebody and gotten enough of a conversation... His computer will be able to store like voice samples and try and be able to detect that person later. I don't know how helpful that'll necessarily wind up being, but it's a relatively low, strong hit with a match, and I want to keep this moving. So we'll say that. Like, this could be used for voice identification, really any acoustic identification, if he's got good audio samples of what something should sound like. But let's do that face danger. So as we were saying, we get a +1 on this. This is going to be, I think... agility based, because it's not about him hitting it really hard. In fact, it's about, which would be an iron thing, is about hitting it just soft enough to like make the right sound and hear it, but not too hard to cause any problems. So I think this is probably closest represented by an edge move. I mean, I could argue for wits again, because it's about being able to, like, it's about analyzing, but it's not his wits, it's his computer. So we get a +1, and we'll be able to reroll any dice if we need to. So edge with a +1, and we get... Okay, I rolled... My action is, I got a 7, but I rolled a 10 and a 7, so I'm going to reroll both of those. So I'm just going to roll 2d10 right now. And we get... Okay, a 3 and a 5. There we go. This turns into... This is our one time only. We triggered the program to do its specific purpose, and now it's a strong hit, because this is exactly what it was meant to do. So, because this is a strong hit on face danger, we get 1 momentum out of this. We are successful. So we're all the way back up to 5 momentum again. Emile... So he has the right answer now. He's identified what is this substance. But I'm going to ask the Oracle, like, just the fact that we are successful doesn't mean that this is a good answer. It just means that he hasn't caused any trouble in the process of identifying it. So I think it's, it's about 50-50 on this, whether this is the casing itself or just kind of a hard material that is surrounding the entire thing due to the Chaos Crystal. So is this the actual, like, material that was supposed to house the Chaos Crystal? No. So this is something that is surrounding it, that the dust turned into something else because of the Chaos Crystal. It's all housed in this kind of almost like a mineral deposit. Let's roll a descriptor and focus to get an idea of what this might be. I got this as misleading and weapon. You know what that makes me think of, honestly? Misleading makes me think of chaos, and weapon makes me think of, like, just how dangerous this Chaos Crystal... I think what Emile found, what he struck with his shovel, this is the Chaos Crystal itself. Apparently, whatever is around it is soft enough that he couldn't tell the difference, or it just, it's chaos. You never know what it's going to do. Maybe it didn't. It just kind of turned off for a while. It could be inert. It could. We don't know, and we can't see anything about it. But Emile recognizes this vibrated like the crystal should, and so he now knows that's what he's touching, and this is kind of good news in a way, because that means if he's got a shovel on it, he can move that somewhere else. He could move it far away and then go back in order to just look in the area for the actual thing he's looking for. So it's free, and this is definitely dangerous what he's about to do. He kind of like turns the shovel so that the blade of it is covering the Chaos Crystal, not completely touching it, but just like nearby, and he's going to start trying to like scoop it down into a different area. He doesn't want to like move the shovel first and like bury a hole for it, because he doesn't want to lose track of it. He's just going to start trying to like dredge this through the dust until somewhere else, till it's sufficiently far away. And super dangerous. I think this is I don't think there's anything I can think of where he'd be like making preparations for this. He really doesn't have the ability to. He can't move the shovel. It's just going to go straight into face danger. And I think, again, this is just like, I think this is an iron move more than anything. Just dredging it through, trying to not lose track of it, and like move enough dust without touching it to not lose track of it. Yeah, I'm just going to roll iron on this, and I've got no real help whatsoever. Unless, let's see, is there anything he could do to get Cypher to help him? Oh, maybe Cypher has a shovel of her own. She wasn't going to dig. Let's see. I'm going to ask the Oracle again, because I'm starting to do that more often, and I just like it. Again, it's just a 50-50. Does Cypher also have a shovel? Nope. Okay, then she can't do that. She could maybe dig with something else. Because, yeah, I think he'd be calling on her help. Like, he's keeping track of it, but he needs her to just, like, dig a hole for him that's nearby. They can get it inside, and then she can walk away. But he just needs a place that's ready to just, like, drop it into a big, deep hole, and then they can cover it up. So this is his attempt to compel her to do that, I suppose. And he's a little bit hindered right now because she can't hear him very well. Yeah, God, how's he going to get her to do this. He needs her to come down close enough to be able to, like, tell her where she'll be able to hear. And that alone she doesn't want to do. So I guess he's just, like, gesturing with his head, like, trying to make it clear, like, come here, come here. And it's nothing more complicated than that, really, but it's going to require a roll because this is explicitly against their agreement. She doesn't want to be nearby, but she also doesn't see the thing she wants to avoid, so, like, it's at least possible. So I'll roll this heart move, and we get... Okay, it's a weak hit, so there's a demand or a complication, which is... You know what, I actually don't like the idea of, like, splitting this into multiple compels. I think that's a little bit of overkill. We'll say that she gets close enough to be able to hear him out. Yeah, there's maybe a little bit of shouting and it's awkward, but Emile is able to communicate that what he wants. He needs her to, like, dig that hole. She doesn't have another shovel, and she's not willing to do it without it. So the complication is, like, I'll do it, but, like, I need your shovel. Emile would lose the exact placement of, like, the whole point of all of this in his mind, like, to not lose out on it. So she needs a shovel, not necessarily his, but she needs one. So let's see. I'm going to gain that momentum that we're owed. What could Emile do? Is there some way? Could he keep track of this? I'm going to have him check his gear to see if he has, like, any kind of just spade or anything that he could either have her dig with or use to also, like, keep track of exactly where the crystal is. Now, he's only got one supply right now, so the odds aren't exactly great, but I'm going to check specifically for, like, an additional, like, a spade. So a small digging implement, but if nothing else, he could jam it in where the shovel is, keep track of the crystal, and then give her the actual shovel for the real digging. So let's see. Checking my gear, we get... Oh, very much no. Full on, like, not even close kind of miss. You don't have it and the situation grows more perilous. Pay the price. I think this is a relatively minor way that it happens. It's just that Emile's going to lose the, like, in looking around his gear, like, try and find the spade, the shovel itself slips and, like, falls out of where he was trying to mark it. And it doesn't, like, immediately set off the crystal or anything like that. It's just, he no longer knows exactly where it is. The shovel fell, it, like, tumbled a bit, and now, like, there's no telling exactly where. But the shovel is now available. At this point, she can take care of that while he tries to find it again. So, you know, Cypher is going to start digging that. He explains what he needs. Cypher starts digging the big pit for him while Emile tries to figure out, you know, tries to find it again. He knows roughly where it is. Like, he's not far off, but it's a relatively small thing. That's why it's easy to lose here. Like, he really didn't want to have this happen. Now, if he could get just, like, a big enough kind of scoop, it wouldn't really matter exactly where. But the problem with that is then he might also get rid of the thing he's actually looking for. So how do we get out of this pickle? How do we find it safely? I guess he's just going to wait and try and get lucky again. Like, try and probe around with the shovel once more. So when she's done and she gets all the way back up on the wall and everything's secure and everything like that, Emile gets the shovel and he's just going to have to he's going to have to face danger to find it again. So he starts doing the, like, just, like, striking around where he thinks it is, using the program to try and identify what he's finding. But of course, we can't get the benefit of re-rolling anymore. We've done our one and done, but he's just striking the shovel down at about the same kind of way that he was doing before. The computer is listening for the right kind of feedback. Maybe it's, like, hooked up to, like, sensing just, like, the vibrations of the shovel head itself. Emile's got, like, a couple of leads attached to the shovel so it can just be it's being shaken that way. So it's not that it's necessarily hearing exactly, but it's, you know, kind of hearing, just very, very low frequencies. So let's face danger. This is going to be about agility, but we have no bonus this time. We do have 6 momentum. Emile tries to refine the crystal, and... Okay, we get a weak hit that I could turn into a strong hit by burning momentum. It was a 3 and a 5, and we've got 6 momentum. And again, this might well be a good time for it, especially because we're not burning that much. So I'm going to do it, and particularly because the strong hit itself will give us 1 momentum back. So we only kind of burned 3 momentum, and that way we don't have to have anything be more complicated. So Emile does it. He finds it takes a little bit. He's hitting it around, but then he finds the thing where the leads signify again, like, no, this is the crystal. You found it. And so now, or I guess this is really where I need the momentum. Carefully moves the shovel head aside, so now he knows where it is. He knows where the hole is. He needs to scoot it in there. Yeah, if I had been smart, I would have saved the momentum for this. Oh well, I wasn't. Anything else that he can do? Just not really. I think we're just going to have to see what happens. This is going to be a face danger. As I said last time, it was going to be with iron, and I'm sticking by that. So this is just a regular +1 roll. And now we don't have momentum to rely on. I should have saved it. Okay, but we did still get a weak hit. It worked pretty well. So we succeed, but not without a cost. Make a suffer move -1. And again, I think I'm just going to go with the bog standard simple. Like, it just takes time. That one momentum we just got, Emile is trying to be very slow and careful with this. He wants to be sure that he doesn't move so fast that he accidentally, like, it slips aside, that he keeps track of it. He doesn't want to, like, accidentally hit the crystal hard enough that it does anything weird, because it seems to be oddly idle right now. But he scoots it along until eventually it, like, breaks through the surface, and he sees it. He sees the crystal poke out briefly as it's going into the pre-dug hole. Because it falls down in there. Now there's nothing covering it. And there is, for the sake of some amount of tension here, even though we don't have a miss or anything, I'm going to say that we can see the crystal beginning to, like, come back to life. Like, now that it went, like, inert, and now that it's exposed to the atmosphere like this, we can see an inner glow beginning to form in it. It wants to react and do things, and Emile has but a moment to get it nicely covered in order to really take all the rest of the danger out of this situation. So if we can get past this one last roll, we're going to be fine. I mentioned having to do this fast enough. That sounds like a speed thing to me, so let's get one last edge face danger move as Emile just tries to very quickly, before it has a chance to release any of this, and, like, turning his head away to, like, try and not look at it, because he doesn't want any of it to hit it, to, like, blast out at him. Just, like, leaning away, dumping ash on it to cover it up before it can do anything. Face danger with edge, and we get... All right, a strong hit. The challenge dice were only a 2 and a 1. It was really nice to me. So we're successful, and we take +1 momentum. And as I said, at that point, we've kind of taken all the stakes out of the scene. You know, we've gotten the Chaos Crystal far away from where we need to be. We've gotten it covered up. It can do whatever now. At this moment, I think Emile does want to make a nice log of this is exactly where it is. He's going to store some coordinates in his computer, which I don't think requires a roll. But also, I think we're going to find something to just, like, stake into the ground to mark, like, you know, danger spot here. To find just anything to do that, I don't think will be a real problem. I don't think we even need to check our gear for it. It's just, I don't know, just anything to stick up. Well, because it's not a particularly, like, good thing for it, if we actually try and rely on that to find it in the future, I think we're going to have to wind up asking Oracle whether or not that marker is actually still there. But he's got a backup system of the coordinates, like, we're doing something about it. But at this point, we'll kind of cut ahead because Emile is able to... He relays the information that the Chaos Crystal, like, it's all gone, it's buried. They wait a bit and see, like, nothing untoward seems to be happening. Whatever it's doing or not is localized near that. And so, yeah, they just kind of dig around a little bit. After a time, they're able to find the casing that Emile's looking for nearby where he was, but not quite in the same area. Gets it, kind of dusts it off a little bit, stows it away so nothing happens to it, they don't drop it, and they head back inside. I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping that a little bit more would go wrong, partly because I wanted to develop my relationship with Cypher, because some of the triggers for that are leveraging their help in desperate circumstances or standing with them against hardship. Those are the closest to what I was going with, but honestly, I don't think enough went wrong to really qualify for that. Like, our relationship was not really tested, or like, she did a minor favor for me. And that's it. Maybe down the line, but much as I want to, I don't think that's really justified. It just didn't get dire enough. But now, here's the next part. As we kind of move ahead a little bit, and we're not going moment to moment on this. Emile now has the, like, case that he tried to fashion to control the Chaos Crystal the first time. It's the material that he knows Firestarter could benefit from to be able to, like, fix up what's going on in the cafeteria. Emile needs to think ahead. Like, how does he present this story? Like, how does he say that he got this I guess he could claim, like, if he just lies, he could claim that it was just, he heard that it was something Firestarter could use, and he had some with him with just his stuff that he brought off from the Beowulf. It's just a material that should be beneficial, but the lies certainly run the risk of being caught in a lie, and that could go very poorly. So, I mean, either way could go poorly. Owning up and saying the truth could go poorly as well, but I think Emile is going to lean on the side of just being truthful, and especially because he's not very good at lying. Shadow is his other +1 move. So I think, yeah, Emile, he's not going to try and fake this in any kind of way. He's just going to go to the fixery, recognizing that Firestarter is hostile towards him. So he's not going to go directly inside, but he's going to go to this area where it happens, which is like, I imagined it as an area not too far off the hangar. There are probably like wings on the side of the hangar that lead to some other rooms, like mostly storage and stuff. And one of them is just opens up into this bigger workshop area. And so Emile goes to the hangar and wraps his knuckles on this, one of those, like, it's like a slide down, almost like a garage door kind of thing. One of those pull down metal cage kind of thing, but you can't really directly see through it. So Emile wraps his knuckles on this vertical sliding door and awaits a response. And we see the person that we recognize as Firestarter, which, as you may or may not recall, Firestarter is kind of a wiry fella and moves around in a floating, like a hover chair. Like they have a disability, might even go so far as to say like they're just like a double amputee. Like they don't have legs below the knees. I guess as long as you're hovering anyway, you can hover at just like eye level of most people. We'll say that he like adjusts his height according to who he's talking to. And so this wiry guy moves the grating up, sees Emile, and then he just goes, "Oh, hell no! Hell fucking no!" and starts like trying to pull it back down. And Emile is like putting his arm in the way, keeping it from closing, and trying to tell him like, wait, hold on, please, just give me 30 seconds, please. And they're like struggling against each other because I don't think either of them are especially strong. So it's two people that aren't that strong, like one trying to pull it down, one trying to push it up. So they're kind of locked in a bit of a battle right now. And Emile is just like, please, just give me 30 seconds to explain, and then I'll leave you alone. I have a gift for you, actually. Please, I don't want any fucking gifts from you, Spencer. I want you to get the hell out of my hair so I can get back to work. I'm trying to help you be able to get back to work. I don't want your help. You're a curse around this place. And don't believe for a second I won't fucking kill you if you come inside. You deserve it. This is my space. Again, they're struggling again. And Emile just says, I won't go inside. Just 30 seconds. And it's going to be a compel move. We just to be able to be heard out to be like, this time I am going to separate into multiple compels because this guy is full on hostile to Emile. So it's just a heart move. And Emile gets a weak hit. So they'll do what you want, but there's a demand or a complication. So the counter offer. I mean, Emile asked for 30 seconds, and I think we're going to literally do this as a counter offer where Firestarter is just going to say, you have 15, and like immediately starts a stopwatch. Like Emile cannot fumfer around with this, has to be very direct and to the point. 15 seconds. So I get +1 momentum, and Firestarter stops trying to pull down the grating long enough. And Emile, stumbles and pulls the containment device out of his pocket, or starts reaching for the containment device to try and find it in his pack while he is explaining, saying like, I've heard that one of your projects is to try and fix the food creation unit in the cafeteria, and you've been having trouble because you can't find the right kind of containment device, and I have something for you. This material right here, if you'll just take it from me. Here. And like he tries to pull it out, and honestly, I almost want this to be a compel with edge. Like, it's about, like, his speed at coming across, like, how quickly does he get across this idea well? And I guess the question is, of course, what is he trying to compel Firestarter to do? Like, if this is a compel move, what specifically is Emile trying to persuade them to do? And he's making Firestarter an offer. I think the offer realistically is continue to have a longer conversation than this. Like, Emile is trying to get his foot in the door, kind of. Like, it doesn't have to be a conversation inside the workshop, but just compelling Firestarter to give him more than just the 15 seconds by making it clear, like, this is worth your time. Now, Emile does not, like, shove it into his hands because he doesn't want Firestarter to just, like, grab it and then head inside. But he displays that he has the item. And, well, let's see. So, compel. And I could say that it's with edge, but honestly, that's the exact same number as rolling this with heart, so it doesn't even matter. And heart would be the next likely thing I would do, so it's with edge, but it's the same number. Okay, we get another weak hit. So there are more complications, but the conversation is going to continue. So the counter offer now, as we get one more momentum. Certainly it's not going to take place inside the workshop. Like, Firestarter is going to come out and close the shutters behind him, looks up at Emile. Oh, I think the counteroffer is certainly, like, a demand that, like, Emile has to tell him, where did you get that? Like, I think it's just that simple. It's just, where the hell did you get that, Spencer? Because, like, he recognizes it as, like, this isn't just any, like, this is the material that went missing. The hell did you get that, Spencer? Tell me the truth right now, and if I don't believe you, and he, like, raises... We talked about how he has, like, shoulder guns in the back of this chair. His hover chair it's armed. So if Emile lies about anything, and Firestarter gets the impression that that's what's happening, Firestarter makes perfectly clear, like, lie and you get shot. Maybe you survive, maybe you won't, but you're definitely gonna hurt for it, so tell me, where'd you get that? And so Emile is just going to be completely straight with him. Look, you obviously know that I was here before the Beowulf arrived. I mean, and Firestarter's like, you're goddamn right I do. I'll never forget what you did. Yeah, I know. Okay, just shut the fuck up for a second so that I can actually tell you the truth. And I am going to, like, that. I'm going to make that a face danger roll by, like, Emile is being risky in the sense of, like, he gets that feeling like maybe Firestarter will respond a little will respond well to the idea of Emile pushing back like that. But it's a gamble, and it's definitely an iron move. I mean, that's an aggression that he's doing back. But if he's successful, it's gonna, like, cow Firestarter a little bit to get him to, like, give him more time to not just be like jumping in as soon as he has an opportunity every time. Emile will have a better ability to explain himself if Firestarter just shuts the fuck up for a little while. Now, it is kind of setting me up for different moves better, so it sounds like a secure an advantage, but again, I don't think we have enough control for me to say that. I think this is, like, jumping straight to this is just doing something risky. So we're going to roll iron. We've got 5 momentum, and we get... All right, strong hit with a match, and I swear to you, this is a double 3 match. So we have been moving one by one up from double 1 to double 2 to double 3. Our strong hits of the match, we're just going up the scale. We're successful, we take 1 momentum, and clearly, indeed, Firestarter is full on cowed by this. Did not expect Emile to have that instinct in him at all. And, like, I think the match is... Let's see... Is that good enough that he would, like, lower the guns? Yeah, let's go with that. So, like, up until this point, Firestarter had the guns, like, from his chair up and ready to go. I think he lowers them back down out of a little bit of, like, okay, interesting. Emile sees that and says, thank you. Okay. Now, what I was trying to say was that I was here before... And when I was trying to escape, I was the one to initially tamper with that, and it's the reason why it's not working now. This housing, it came from inside initially, so I know it can work. Much as Firestarter wants to mutter and be like, you know, cursing the fact that Emile did yet another thing to, like, make his life harder, we were successful on cowing him. It's like he's not going to. Like, he's hearing him out, but boy, is the inside of his mind, like he's, like, grinding his teeth right now. And Emile says, I know you're trying to fix it. It's what I hear anyway. I'm going to make you a deal. This thing here, we both know this is what you need to actually fix that. should be short work. Someone as talented as I hear you are, this is all, you're just missing the materials. I'll give you the materials, but I need the ability to work inside your workshop. And it's a big ask. Like, this is exactly what Firestarter does not want. But Emile has the thing that he needs. So, Emile, it's just kind of one final compel here. Like, this is the offer. This for that. And this is a literal barter, so it's a heart roll. And I'm leaving myself room to come down. I've got some ideas for demands and complications. So Emile's asking for the whole enchilada here of just, I can use your workshop. Here we go with a heart roll. Okay, this is a miss, but I could turn it into a weak hit with momentum, and that is exactly what I'm going to do, because I do not want him to refuse. So they'll do what you want, but demand or complication, counteroffer, 1 momentum. We've seen that a lot this time. Firestarter, now that it's clear that Emile has made his point, is all bluster and everything, and just like, are you fucking kidding me? Use my workshop? Just like that. Just you give me a thing that you sold to begin with? And you think that's worth just access to the workshop? Unfettered? I didn't say unfettered. I'm willing to make a deal with you. Let's figure out terms. The very fact that you said unfettered there suggests to me that maybe there's a version of this that could work. Come on, we can make a deal. What's it going to take? Well, first off, and this is just off the top of my head, you can never be in there if I'm not in there as well. I want my eyes on you the entire time. Yeah. Easy enough. I don't need to be in there alone. I'm not looking to do anything nefarious. I can, under your supervision, that's fine. And, okay, you have to rent it. Rent it? Yeah, you heard me. This isn't a freebie. If you give me that device, I'm just not going to kill you for stepping inside. But that still doesn't earn you the right to use my equipment. There's going to be a rental agreement involved. Okay, well, what do you want? How do I pay you? There's not really a lot around here. What do I do for you? And that's a good question. Does he want goods? Does he want services? Like, I don't think there's a lot in the way of good, like, cause for him to need just, like, literal money here, because at best, like, they're all on quite the barter system here. They're far away from the rest of the galaxy. Like, money's no good here. And Emile doesn't have anything that would be... I don't think there's anything that Emile could provide that he couldn't otherwise get. So Emile says to him, like, what could I possibly pay you with? Like, what do you want, money? What good is money going to do for you? How am I going to pay the rent? And Firestarter's like, fine, when you're right, you're right. But if you want to be able to step inside here and actually use the place, you're going to need to return to me more than just the housing. That's not all you stole. You need to make things fully right. Where's the crystal? We had to put a new one in there, so I know you took it. It was gone. And Emile's just like, oh, God damn it. Yeah, that's right. You've got it somewhere. And until you pay it back, you stay outside. And Emile's just like, can I at least have the containment unit for it? How am I supposed to... And I think that that Firestarter at this point, like over the course of this conversation, had like opened the shutters back out, as like back inside the workshop, closes the shutters, and has the device, the containment device. Emile does not have it. He's going to have to get this crystal without any particular way to contain it. Nothing that he currently has on hand. Emile kind of shouts in the hangar, and it echoes off the walls. How the hell am I supposed to get a chaos crystal to you without any kind of containment system? But that's a question for next time. Having gone back through this episode now through editing, if I'm being honest, there was a moment earlier on, back when we were outside trying to find the chaos crystal, and we developed our program, the very specialized program that was going to be able to identify materials based on connecting leads to a shovel and striking it and feeling the vibrations in the shovel head. We had a strong hit with a match on that, our first of the 3 that happened during this session. It was just a double 1 match, and on the fly I came up with some other way that the program could be used, a kind of pivoting, similar thing that it might be able to handle as well. And going back through it, I don't know, Even in the moment, I wasn't all that satisfied with it, but I wanted to move on, and hearing it again, I'm reminded, like, I don't know that I love that answer for it. I might put some more thought towards this, but I figured for this week, why don't I put that out to y'all as well? So what I'm looking for from y'all is, what is another way? How would you interpret the match on that roll? It was a strong hit with a match. What bonus thing should we get out of that? Nothing that's going to involve all kinds of math retconning or anything like that, but just, what do you think I should also get out of it? Possibly what is another use for that program, but possibly a different idea entirely. Send your ideas over to me at starforgepod@gmail.com and let me know what you think. Oh, and also, could you play me out music?